Hey everyone! Today I will take you through all 5 mass extinction events in Earth's history in one sitting. What kind of experience is it? Approximately 4.6 billion years ago, diffuse gas and particles in the solar system, after billions of years of contraction, gradually gathering, forming massive rock formations hundreds of kilometers in diameter, and continuously collide under the influence of gravity, ultimately coalesced into the primordial Earth. But at this time, Earth had no solid crust, only the boundless lava. Temperatures even exceeded 1,200 degrees Celsius. At the same time, under intense radiation and the violent impacts of asteroids and comets. It also made the Earth at that time resemble a living hell, sighing ceaselessly in the abyss. This period is also referred to by geologists as the Hadean, represents a hellish opening before the birth of life on Earth. Approximately 4.2 billion years ago, a comet containing water happened to collide with Earth, plus volcanic eruptions and meteorite impacts. Heat generated brought a large amount of water to the Earth. Then a heavy rain fell continuously for tens of millions of years, ultimately transformed Earth into an ocean planet. From this point onward, the conditions for nurturing life began to take shape. Approximately 3.9 billion years ago, Earth's temperature has begun to drop, but it remains a desolate world, since there was almost no oxygen at that time. Only the surging ocean, rugged rocky cliffs, and terrifying volcanic eruptions. But it was precisely in the depths of the dark ocean during this period. Yet an incredible miracle occurred. Life was born when some wondrous chemical reactions, when interacting with specific substances, gave rise to a character named Luca. Single-celled organism, and this is precisely the origin of all things on Earth. Time arrived 2.6 billion years ago. Land-based lava has been erupting for millions of years. A vast amount of toxic gas filled the entire sky. Earth is shrouded in a vast methane cloud. The entire appearance presents a yellow celestial body. But at this moment, the ocean was teeming with plankton. Their cellular structures are not only more complete, and it even purified out photosynthesis, produced large quantities of oxygen and accumulated, transformed Earth into a blue planet. This is the famous Great Oxygenation Event on Earth. It was precisely because of this incident that greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are being consumed in large quantities. Earth's temperature begins to plummet. 2.4 billion years ago, Earth underwent a period of rest lasting tens of millions of years. Ice Age caused the process of life to be temporarily interrupted. The Earth thus became a snowball, with the activity of undersea volcanoes, resulting in massive amounts of greenhouse gases, gradually melted the glacier. The warm sunshine once again bathed the Earth's oceans, but over the subsequent hundreds of millions of years, the pace of life's evolution is exceptionally slow, until one day 1.6 billion years ago, an incident occurred. The great miracle in the history of Earth's biological evolution. Bacteria and archaea have inadvertently fused together, gradually evolved into eukaryotes, and 600 million years ago, eukaryotes experienced an explosive phase of evolution. Large soft area, multicellular invertebrates began to appear. They composed the most unique Ediacaran biota, faced with abundant resources and a favorable environment, coupled with the absence of natural predators. This also led organisms of this period to settle for the status quo. Finally, on a day 540 million years ago, the emergence of arthropods has completely become the nightmare of these inferior invertebrates. They walked over the bones of Ediacaran animals, until unfolding the first magnificent curtain in Earth's history of life. Cambrian explosion. The ocean here is more magnificent than ever before. A multitude of novel organisms began to emerge. The first generation overlord, the giant squid, hunted with utter recklessness. The trilobite, clad in its hard armor, also lay in wait. And the bizarre Mauro worm of the Oba coastal scorpion, Polyphaga, a multitude of bizarrely shaped creatures. At the same time, the earliest vertebrates on Earth also appeared. A soft-bodied jawless fish-like creature haikal fish. Although scientists are still debating to this day the true cause of the Cambrian explosion, But it cannot be denied that it is precisely because of their emergence, only to give rise to the subsequent diversity of life on Earth, laying the foundation for complex ecosystems. Yet the land at that time was a wasteland, completely unsuitable for life to inhabit. But near a certain landmass close to the ocean, a symbiotic complex of algae and fungi, the first to initiate the challenge. It is precisely because of the emergence of this remarkable combination. Only then could they conquer this barren land. And his greatest masterpiece was undoubtedly General Silk, gradually spreading underground, breaking down hard rock. Thus, the first soil was born on Earth, paved the way for later plants. Soon, the first plant on land, moss, appeared. Although their leaves have only a single layer of cells, prevent it from growing upward, yet it can advance at an extremely rapid rate of reproduction, swiftly spread across the entire continent, and over the subsequent 40 million years, became the sole dominant species on Earth's landmasses at that time. Approximately 485 million years ago, when everything seemed to be progressing steadily. As life continues to evolve, a disaster quietly descended. It is speculated that the intense activity of undersea volcanoes, causing a sharp drop in oxygen levels, thereby devastating the marine biosphere at that time. Although this event wiped out many Cambrian organisms, however, many groups have successfully survived. It also signifies the official end of the Cambrian period. Earth is about to enter a brand new era, the Ordovician period. The great radiation of life. Time arrived at 468 million years ago. At this moment in the ocean, the world has been turned upside down. With the Cambrian period, compared to animals during the Ordovician period, the scale has increased several-fold. Mollusks began to flourish, and life and death confrontations are constantly unfolding. The trilobite family still exists to this day. Their armor has become more robust, and those opponents naturally became even more terrifying. The pseudoceratops can reach up to 9 meters in length, successfully defeated the Chichia, become the new generation of ocean dominators. It was precisely during this period a new life of great importance has emerged. The world's first early fish with vertebrae. New turtles will later give rise to amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds, etc. But now the ancestors of humankind, still in the early stages of a long journey. At the same time, terrestrial angiosperms successfully evolved lignin. This can make them grow thicker. To vie for sunlight, they began fierce competition. A spectacular botanical explosion is officially underway. But what no one could have ever imagined was, over the course of more than 20 million years, when all things flourish, Earth yet ushered in the first mass extinction event in history. The Ordovician mass extinction occurred 445 million years ago, due to the massive absorption of carbon dioxide by a large number of mosses, produced a cooling effect. Without the protection of greenhouse gases, it has entered an extreme low-temperature mode. The seawater rapidly cooled and froze. Over half of the Earth's surface is frozen into glaciers. Beneath these beautiful and enchanting ice crystal patterns, it has also become the grave of all things. Although this incident directly resulted in the loss of 85% of lives. However, among them there are also some highly adaptable organisms, opting to relocate to deep-sea regions. Thus the spark of life was preserved. Every nightmare must come to an end. After 2 million years of deep freeze, global temperatures are beginning to gradually rise. A magnificent grand thaw heralds the beginning. For thousands of years, nearly all glaciers have disappeared. Earth returns to its deep blue hue and entered the stagnant period of life's revival. And in this brief span of just over 20 million years, not only did it resolve the Ordovician mass extinction, the trauma it caused, it also gave birth to a great transformation. As the Earth's temperature gradually rises, plankton began to multiply in large numbers. Although the armored pteropods plate-like rear, during this period, they ruled the seas. But once unremarkable vertebrate fish, then it began to quietly exert its influence. They have endured over the long course of time, evolved a movable lower jaw. Finally, 400 million years ago, as the age of fish ushers in a great explosion, Earth has officially entered the Devonian period. The oceans during this period, undoubtedly a paradise for vertebrates. Sharks and fish exhibit a high degree of diversity. Among them, as a representative of the placoderms, it became the dominant species of the Devonian period. The largest ocean predator, they can reach up to 10 meters in length. Weighing 4 tons, it possesses armor of unparalleled hardness. Its bite force is also quite astonishing. Even boulders of exceptional hardness can be crushed to smithereens in one bite. It can be said to possess a jaw-dropping jawline, paired with a flexible spine. Such a perfect combination, to the extent that subsequent vertebrates pressed forward relentlessly. At the same time, the land has long ceased to be merely simple. Mosses and lycopods. True ferns grow into towering trees reaching over 10 meters in height. Rapid forest formation, soil and atmospheric components have been optimized. Life on land began to bud and blossom as the earliest arthropods to colonize the land and became the first ruler of this pristine rainforest. On a certain day 370 million years ago, a major miracle occurred in the history of biological evolution. The only lungfish that breathes through lungs, under the constant bullying of the dull-skinned fish, first climbed toward the beach, accomplished a landing feat, and precisely because of this, only later, created the world's landmasses, the largest vertebrate group. It can be said that all birds and beasts today, even humans, evolved from this. Perhaps it's because the existence of Dunkleosteus is simply too mind-blowing. Nature finally resolved to start over. 360 million years ago, submarine volcanoes and mantle plumes suddenly erupted in succession. The scalding magma caused the sea temperature to rise rapidly. Let this once thriving ocean. From then on, he was plunged into a terrifying hell. Although half of the fish failed to survive the ordeal, but the Dengia fish still managed to survive. Until the next time, as plankton populations have exploded, causing a rapid and sudden decrease in ocean oxygen levels, the once dominant Dang's fish has completely exited the historical stage. This is the history of Earth. The second mass extinction event, the Devonian mass extinction. This directly resulted in the death of 75% of marine life along coastlines around the world, strewn with the remains of life. And just as marine life faced utter destruction, land-dwelling organisms, however, are thriving. The Earth's ecological balance is also undergoing significant changes. Time now moves to the Carboniferous period, 345 million years ago. At that time, the continental plates were not as fragmented as they are today, but rather in a process of gradual convergence. Large swaths of tropical rainforest are also concentrated here, resulting in a warm and humid climate during this period, covered with lush forests and marshes, which also leads to Earth's oxygen levels have reached an unprecedented peak. Oxygen concentration is even twice as high as it is now. It was precisely this influence that led to, during this period, many have emerged. An abnormally large arthropod, for instance, there are giant dragonflies larger than eagles, a giant frog over a meter long, and can reach up to 3 meters in length. Moreover, the giant elk is inherently brutal. Therefore, the Carboniferous period is also known as the age of giant insects. And the meat-eating fish that had already accomplished the feat of landing, it also evolved into a 4-limbed creature. Not only became the apex predator in Carboniferous waters, at the same time, it also marked the official beginning of the age of amphibians. 320 million years ago, the Earth's landmasses began to merge into a single supercontinent. This has made the inland climate extremely dry. The vast, unbroken forest that once blocked up the sky has now been shattered. Rivers and marshes have nearly vanished. Large tracts of land are beginning to become desertified. This results in a significant reduction in oxygen concentration. These giant insects ultimately perish due to their inability to adapt. This is the end Carboniferous rainforest collapse event. Some amphibians that require laying eggs in water. Evolution has also occurred due to the reduction in water sources. Causes the outer membrane of the egg to gradually harden into a shell. This way it can be cultivated on land. thus formed the first egg on Earth. At the same time, some amphibians have also evolved into marine animals. This makes them can be completely independent of water source location constraints. Go explore more distant regions. At this point, Earth entered the final epoch of the Paleozoic era, an age of chaos, a time when beasts ran rampant. The Permian period over time, 300 million years ago, amniotes at this time, it has spread across the entire Pangea and split into Gongang and Xixingang, two great species dynasties. The former is the ancestor of mammals. The latter evolved into reptiles and birds. And thus, the endless struggle officially begins at this very moment. But at that time, the westward journey, represented by the doomed dragon, is still in its infancy. Although it can reach a body length of 3.5 meters, clad in heavy armor, but feeds on plants. In contrast, Gongan's representative, the 1-foot beast, became the top predator of the Permian period. They measure over 3 meters in length. The full length can reach 15 centimeters, feeding on westward migrating organisms such as the dino turtle. Although Gongang was at the height of his power at this time, but it is not without power. For example, the timid water dragon beast. The slightest rustle of wind could send them scurrying back into their burrows. Perhaps it is precisely because of this character. Only then did it manage to evade the consequences. The most catastrophic mass extinction event in Earth's history. Time arrived 2.5 billion years ago. With a loud bang, a superplume beneath the seafloor of present-day Sichuan province. Sudden eruption. A massive earthquake instantly tore apart the oceanic plates and has spread to the currently active Siberian region. Volcanic zone. Trillions of tons of magma erupted from the mantle and swept across the globe at breakneck speed, ultimately engulfed half of the Pangea continent, although some animals managed to escape unscathed. But the disaster was not over yet. Then volcanic ejecta rained down like hailstones and triggered widespread wildfires. The food chain is thus disrupted. The entire ecosystem has been completely devastated. All the animals died in agony. It was the most devastating mass extinction event in history, the Permian Triassic extinction. In this natural disaster, not only did it completely wipe out as much as 95% of all species on Earth, even once rendered the Earth's ecosystem, evolved over billions of years, destroyed in an instant. Fortunately, all things still retain a glimmer of hope. Fungal organisms first exhibit extraordinary adaptability, took over the apocalypse graveyard after tens of thousands of years of recovery. 250 million years ago, Earth finally ushered in the Mesozoic era, the Triassic period. In the early stages following the mass extinction event, there are almost no large predators. This has led to the water dragon beast population thriving from the bottom of the food chain to the very top. During this period, the population of the water dragon clan, accounting for 3/4 of all terrestrial vertebrates, and this is a feat that no other animal has ever achieved. But such rule clearly cannot last long. As the Triassic landscape transformed, temperatures across the ancient continent began to soar. Temperatures in the central land areas even reached as high as 60 degrees. Thus was born the largest desert in Earth's history. Throughout the ages, very few animals can survive in the desert, but the lizard proved to be an exception. Its remarkable adaptability, enabling them to rise from the desert. Finally, 248 million years ago, once an inconspicuous little lizard, gradually evolved into a formidable hidden crocodile. Not only does it possess robust defensive capabilities, has also mastered formidable predatory skills, and will dominate the Earth for nearly 4 million years as the water dragon beast. Treat it like a buffet. From this point onward, Earth officially entered the reign of reptiles. During this period, various reptiles appeared one after another, making competition on land exceptionally fierce. At the same time, a prolonged drought has also pushed Earth's temperature to a tipping point. 234 million years ago, deep within the arid heart of the Pangea continent, a long-awaited downpour came crashing down. During the 2 million year humid period, it also completely transformed the landscape of the entire continent. This is the famous Carnian Pleistocene event. various compact green plants, sprouting like mushrooms after rain. The once arid land has become moist. The grasslands gradually transformed into forests. Meanwhile, Earth species began to undergo significant changes. Those that previously evolved due to drought, a short, stout animal that can only nibble on ferns, unable to adapt to changes in the environment, gradually heading toward extinction, and crocodilian turtles and mammals, among others, began to take the stage in Earth's history. 230 million years ago, the birth of the southern cross dragon, beginning to shift the direction of Earth's evolution. At first they were very small, but as the sun compounds rise, causing their bodies to grow larger and larger, ultimately, the archosaurs began to take center stage in history. Although it took Earth 50 million years, ecosystem restoration has been carried out. But in the end, one cannot escape destiny. The ruling was made 203 million years ago. Frequent crustal movements caused a series of volcanic eruptions worldwide and released massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and methane gas, increasing greenhouse gases, causing climate warming and ocean hypoxia. Among other effects, 76% of species became extinct due to their inability to adapt to drastic environmental changes. Ultimately vanished from Earth. This is the Triassic mass extinction event. But fortunately, the Archosaurian dinosaurs, however, were miraculously chosen by history. Time traveled back to the Jurassic period 200 million years ago. The dragon clan will rise to prominence in this era. Pterosaurs and birds took to the skies. The emergence of mammals, a series of astonishing evolutionary events unfolded. Dinosaurs have officially taken over the Earth's reign. There are many representative organisms among them. For example, the colossal Diplodocus, with a body length reaching up to 27 meters. The first pterosaur to conquer the skies. The brutal ruler of the oceans, the Glaucosaurus, the apex predator of the land, the Pteranodon, as well as Stegosaurus, which could wield its tail as a weapon. Even the oldest true mammal, Chinese Jurassic beast, etc. It can be said that the success of the dinosaur dynasty, not merely the length of their reign, these peculiar creatures, with the full support of the environment, unfolds such a breathtaking spectacle of life. 145 million years ago, Earth finally witnessed a great explosion of biological diversity. During the Cretaceous period, countless vibrantly colored flowers began to appear and utilize surrounding animals to facilitate pollination, enhances plant diversity, reached another peak. At the same time, the dinosaur dynasty reached its zenith. During this period, the wind god pterosaur soared skyward, battle for air supremacy against the pterosaurs. The amphibious Spinosaurus takes to the water, competing with primitive crocodilians for control of the rivers. The largest land dinosaur, Posidinosaurus, standing high above, looking down upon the land. The enormous terror crocodile lurks menacingly by the riverbank. The flying raptors darted through the jungle. Tyrannosaurus with scythe-like giant claws, hunting in partnership. The largest ceratopsian, Triceratops, are fighting each other. The Humbolyashi River transformed itself, became a colossal azure dragon, dominated the entire Cretaceous oceans. And then came the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the undisputed ruler of the Tyrannosauridae family, dominated the entire Cretaceous continent. It can be said that Earth's life forms have fully entered a golden age. But it's just this kind of a biological empire so powerful it cannot be shaken. The historic moment has finally arrived. 65 million years ago, a chicane with a diameter of approximately 10 kilometers, asteroid Sulubo, at speeds reaching up to 70,000 kilometers per hour, heading toward Earth. The impact occurred in the waters off Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The explosive force generated by the impact is equivalent to 11 times the violent impact of the atomic bomb, led all life within a 1,500-kilometer radius reduced to ashes. Over 3 trillion tons of debris were hurled into space. The shockwave travels at speeds reaching thousands of kilometers per hour and triggered a massive tsunami, causing many animals to perish beneath the water, although large dinosaurs managed to escape unscathed. But the disaster was not over yet. Immediately afterward, debris from the explosion rained down like a shower. The high-temperature particles triggered widespread wildfires. Whether on land or in the sky, all the dinosaurs had nowhere to run. The dust filling the sky obscured the sunlight, lasting for decades. Not only has it plunged the Earth into extreme cold weather, plants also wither because they cannot perform photosynthesis. And those dinosaurs that survived, also because they cannot adapt to changes in the environment, all deaths. The entire ecosystem has completely collapsed. The Earth thus fell into silence. At this point, in this brutal and inhumane Cretaceous mass extinction, the most captivating era of dinosaurs in biological history has come to an end.